I think the most uncomfortable place to be, the worst place to be, the least optimal place to be in any negotiation is with your back up against the wall. You don't need leverage, no walkaway power, and unfortunately, they know it. That's where bad deals are born. When I don't have a strong alternative, I don't have any leverage. And when I lose leverage, I'm negotiating from a place of desperation, and I will almost always end up with a bad deal if I'm desperate. No one wants to walk away from a negotiation feeling like they were taken advantage of. Well, the good news is we don't have to do that. There's a tool that puts the power back in our hands, allowing us to negotiate from a place of confidence rather than fear. And that's your BATNA, our best alternative to a negotiated agreement. In other words, a fancy acronym for your plan B. But first, hey, nice to meet you. My name is Mark Mirra, and I'm the CEO of Align Negotiation. I've spent over a decade helping hundreds of businesses and thousands of individuals master the art of negotiation. And at Aligned, we work with top executives, professionals, and decision makers from top tier companies all over the world to transform how they approach deals. Today, we're going to break down exactly how a BATNA works, why it's critical to negotiation success, and how we can develop a strong one to maximize our leverage. We'll go through real world examples, key strategies, and common pitfalls, so stick around because by the end of this video, you'll learn exactly what it takes to negotiate like a pro. Before we dive into the how to, let's start with the basics. What's a BATNA? Simply put, a BATNA is our backup plan if the deal falls through. If this negotiation does not work out, what's our next best option? It becomes our safety net, and having a BATNA increases mental toughness and gives us new strategic negotiation chess moves. So think of it this way. If we walk into a negotiation with no other options, we're at the mercy of whatever's being offered. If we want to get $100 for this, but they're only willing to offer 50, we might have to take it or leave it. But if we walk in knowing we have a solid plan B, like someone else who offered us 80, we're no longer so desperate. We can negotiate with confidence because we know if the deal does not meet our terms, we can walk away with another option. So without a BATNA, we negotiate from a weak position, feeling like we have no choice but to accept whatever's on the table, or end up with no deal whatsoever. With a BATNA, we have leverage. We can set boundaries, push for better terms, and walk away if necessary. Many people mistakenly think that a BATNA is just about having another offer on the table, but it's more than that. It's about thoroughly evaluating and strengthening alternatives so we're not stuck with a bad deal. Now that we know what a BATNA is, let's talk about how we can develop one. There are 5 critical steps. The first is going to be for us to define our goal. What does success look like? Before we determine what our best alternative is, we need to get clear on what success looks like for us. Why are we negotiating? What are we trying to achieve? What is the ideal outcome of this negotiation? And just as importantly, what are our deal breakers? For example, we'll use a simple job offer to run through the framework. Now, this applies to all sorts of negotiations from sales to buying to cars to homes to complex business supplier relationships, but the core concepts are pretty much the same. So, if we're negotiating a job offer, our goal may be a salary of at least $85,000 with remote work options and health benefits. If we're negotiating a supplier contract, our goal may be to secure a lower price per unit without sacrificing quality. So if we don't define our negotiation goals up front, we won't be able to accurately assess whether an alternative is better, worse, the same than the deal being offered. So step number 2 is about identifying those alternatives. Next, we need to figure out exactly what other options are available to us. If this deal does not go through, where are we going to go instead? So we may ask ourselves, who else can provide a similar opportunity for me? Can I delay, pivot, or find another solution? If our job offer example is what we're going to be using here, our alternative might be another company that's expressed interest in hiring us, or negotiating for a different role within the existing company I'm currently working for. Step 3, then let's evaluate and compare those alternatives. Not all alternatives are created equal. Some might be viable, while others may be risky or inconvenient. To assess them properly, we want to weigh factors like cost, risk, feasibility, and overall benefit. For example, a job offer with a higher salary but no benefits might seem attractive initially, but does it align with our long term financial and personal goals? Another offer with slightly lower pay but excellent healthcare, flexible work arrangements, and growth opportunities might be a more compelling offer when considering the full picture. By evaluating our alternatives objectively, we can determine which option truly gives us the most power in our negotiations. Step 4, now let's strengthen that BATNA. Having alternatives is good, Having strong alternatives are better. The stronger our BATNA, the more leverage we have. So, some ways to strengthen our BATNA include getting competing offers, maybe applying to multiple companies to ensure we have backup plans, maybe building industry connections, like networking that could open up new job opportunities to enhance our position. Could be improving our own value, like gaining certifications, learning high demand skills, or increasing our expertise. That makes us a more attractive candidate. For instance, if we upskill in a highly sought after field, we might be able to command a higher salary or better terms in our job offer negotiation. That's what will strengthen our alternatives. And lastly, step number 5, let's use that BATNA as leverage. A good BATNA allows us to walk into a negotiation with confidence. We can reference our alternative strategically to strengthen our position without outright bluffing. For example, we may say, I have another offer at 90,000, but I'm very interested in this role. If we can adjust the salary to 90K, I'd love to move forward with your company. This signals a strong BATNA while keeping the conversation constructive and professional. Using a BATNA effectively means we don't have to accept unfavorable terms. We have the power to negotiate a deal that aligns with our priorities. So that's it. You've built your BATNA. So again, this principle applies to all sorts of negotiations. If you were in a company and needed to improve terms with a supplier, you'd use the exact same series of steps. Know your goal, identify your alternatives, strengthen those alternatives and evaluate them, and then use them strategically as leverage. At Aligned, we go beyond the simple fundamentals of a BATNA. We don't look at BATNA in isolation. Instead, we view it as the larger strategy that balances 3 key dimensions: relationships, processes, and goals. While the full framework is beyond the scope of this video, but you can check the link in the comments for more, today I just want to focus on goals, specifically how advanced negotiators use BATNA to define success and set clear boundaries. Goals are the strategic backbone of a negotiation. They determine what success looks like, how we prioritize trade offs, and when we decide to walk away. BATNA plays a direct role in this by establishing what we're willing to accept and what is non negotiable. If we don't define our goals in advance, we risk making emotional, reactive decisions instead of strategic ones. In the Aligned Strategic Framework, we use a structured approach to setting goals. We call this the Goal Zones model. This model helps negotiators categorize their deal terms into 3 categories. First is your goal zone. This becomes your ideal outcome. This is the best case scenario for each one of the terms that you're negotiating over. And if we land here, we're maximizing our value and achieving everything we set out to gain. Your authorized zone then becomes acceptable. These are terms we're prepared to accept, even if they're not ideal, because they align with our core needs and still meet a threshold of success. Lastly, we have our Y zone. This is our last resort. This is where we enter some risky territory. Accepting terms that are in these windows require justification. Effectively, why are we doing this? If we have a lot of value on all of the other terms in the authorized or goal zones, there may be justification for us to accept something in the Y zone. But if everything is in the Y zone, we need to ask ourselves, why are we even doing this deal? Is our BATNA much more beneficial for us than the current offer on the table? Let's break this down into an example, and we'll go back to the job offer. Without a clear BATNA and structured goals, it's easy to get caught up into the moment and accept a deal that might not fully meet your needs. This is how goal zones can help. Let's say we have a goal of a salary of between 90 and 100,000, remote work flexibility and full benefits. This is our ideal outcome that we're going to push for at first. Our authorized zone then may be 85 to 90,000, partial benefits, and a hybrid work model. Not perfect, but still a win. Our Y zone then is going to be 80 to 85,000, no benefits, and in-office requirement. This is a stretch, but if our BATNA is weak, perhaps our only other alternative might be unemployment. This may be justifiable. If our employer offers something in the Y zone and we have a strong BATNA, like another offer at 95,000 with better benefits, we can walk away. Or we can then find the right combination of terms within those zones that we're comfortable saying yes to. Another example may be a company negotiating with a supplier that follows the same principle. Maybe the goal zone is $15 to $18 per unit, 60-day payment terms, and overnight shipping. Authorized may be $18 to $20, 45-day payment terms, 2-day shipping. And the Y zone may be $20 to $22, 30-day payment terms, 3 to 5-day shipping. If the supplier refuses to meet our goal or authorized zone, our BATNA is strong. Perhaps we can get a competing offer. With better terms, we can leverage this or we can walk away. It allows us to assess the total value of a deal across multiple different factors and multiple different definitions of success. Advanced negotiators don't just define their goals, they assess their counterparts' goal zones as well. And then they use BATNA to predict potential walkaway points and alternatives. So your BATNA is more than a fallback option. It's a strategic tool we use for goal setting, and we fully integrate it in the aligned strategic framework within our goals portion. We hope this has been really beneficial for you. And if you want to learn more about aligned, about BATNA, about goals, or our strategic framework, check out the link in the description for a deeper dive into the full strategy. Hope to work with you again in the future. Chat with you soon.